Thank you, Daniel. Thank you very much. That was very generous. And Daniel is the president of our Inactives group. They just won the regional title in Atlanta in a competition, and now he's headed off to do another competition to lead his group there. So thank you, Daniel. But I'll tell you, after listening to him, there's not much else for me to say, quite frankly. I mean, because he is the reason we're here. He is the reason Fisk exists. And he's the reason many of you are here, too, I'm sure. I will tell you that I went to the website last night because I'm just about a day ahead of my schedule. So I knew I was going to be here, and last night I realized I was going to be here. So I went to the website and I looked at what you guys have done recently. I saw all the great speakers you have had in the recent past, and I thought, wow, you know, that's a really great group. I actually viewed some of the videotapes. I recognized that last week you guys had the Montgomery Bell Academy, I think it is, and so you talked about education. That warmed my heart. But as I read through the objectives of Kiwanis, I brought this because I wanted to make sure that I could highlight these terms and phrases that really struck a chord with me. To promote the adoption and the application of higher social, business, and professional standards. To develop by precept and example a more intelligent, aggressive, and serviceable citizenship. To render altruistic service and to build better communities. Create and maintain sound public opinion and high idealism. Make possible the increase of righteousness, justice, patriotism, goodwill. My goodness. That hits it out of the park from my vantage point. And I thought, man, am I going to talk to the right group? Absolutely. And I commend you on your objectives and what you guys stand to try to achieve. That's super important for all of us in this community. And I will tell you that I'm proud, obviously, to be president at Fisk University, but I'm also proud to be a part of this community. My wife and I are looking forward to becoming engaged throughout this community and working as diligently as you in this room work to make this a better community. So I thank you again for inviting me to say a few words. I'd like to share the Fisk story to the extent that I can in these brief few minutes. Before I do that, however, I must recognize, in addition to the young man who just left here, my colleagues. You heard the introduction of Mr. Jones, who is our recruiter extraordinaire, but also Dr. Hamby was mentioned earlier as well, our institutional advancement person. These two individuals are just tremendous colleagues. And in the brief time I've been at Fisk, I recognize not only their intelligence, not only their skill sets, but their wisdom, and most importantly, quite frankly, their commitments. Their commitments, not just to Fisk University, but to higher education, and what higher education means and portends for all of us, especially in this Nashville community. And so I want you guys to help me thank them, because I want to thank them publicly for the work they do on a regular basis. Thank you very much. And as I said earlier, I saw that you had the Montgomery Bell Academy speaker here recently, and I think that's fantastic. I went to the website for Montgomery Bell and did a little bit of reconnaissance, I guess, and learned some more about that organization, and they do a great job. But I put it in a larger context, because over the past few days, for sure, and over the last couple of weeks, I've been privy to a lot of conversation and discussion about, well, in fact, performing charter schools, the conversations about whether or not it's a good idea and to what extent it's a good idea. You know, all of that is fine and dandy, and I know there are folks on both sides. There are camps here and camps there, pros and cons. But what it really means at a deeper level is that this community recognizes and appreciates how important it is for us to focus on educating our youth. That's the real takeaway from my vantage point, at least. And that's what makes sense to all of us at Fisk. And that's what makes sense to my colleagues and me who are leading these institutions of higher education across Nashville and across the state of Tennessee, for that matter. We understand that if we are going to create a better community, if we're going to build that better community to which you speak so eloquently in your objectives, if in fact we are going to provide for the enhancement and the enrichment of Nashville and Tennessee, then we have to do our work, and we have to do it in a concerted way. We have to do it diligently every day, and we have to start at the very beginning. So the K through 12 notion is critically important, and it's not lost on us in higher education. We recognize that that has to happen, and that, quite frankly, we have to be engaged. We have to be involved. You know, the university is a wonderful place, and I'm so proud to be associated with it. But not because it's a university in and of itself, because a university is not an end in itself. It's a means to an end. It's a means to an end. And so at Fisk, what we hope we're going to be able to do, and I hope if you don't remember anything else I say this afternoon, I hope you will remember this. What we want to do is to make sure that we are as contributory, if you will, as we can be. Because we understand, just as it takes a village to raise a child, it actually takes a village for a university to flourish. If the university is going to contribute as well as it might, in fact, as well as it should, there must be this interaction, this mutual respect, this support. And I've been in communities where that has been in abundance. And I pray, quite frankly, that that's what I'm going to find here. And I will tell you that the early returns suggest that, in fact, that's where we are in this community. So we're hopeful that we're going to be able to open our arms, quite frankly, to this community in ways that we may not have in the past, quite frankly. But clearly to connect with this community in ways that allow us to multiply, quite frankly, our assets for this community. To continue to produce the kind of young man who just introduced me. And the level of commitment of our faculty and staff over at our Fisk. Let me say this for a minute. I was thinking about how I ought to talk to you a little bit about Fisk, and I thought, well, I ought to say something about the history of Fisk for sure. But what I've learned in the brief time I've been here, and I've been here 2.5 weeks now, 2.5 months. It actually feels like maybe 2.5 years, but and so maybe it's a Freudian slip for me to try to reduce that to 2.5 weeks. But I have been here 2.5 months. But in that brief period of time, what I've recognized is that as I've spoken with folks across this community, it's amazing to me how many touch points there are with Fisk. Many of them indirect, but a whole host of them direct as well. And persons always have personal stories to tell about their experiences with Fisk. And so I suspect that you guys know more about Fisk than I do after having been here only 2.5 months. But I do know that my colleagues sitting here, not only are they representatives of the university, but they are also Fiskites, which means that they have walked the walk as well as talked the talk. Absolutely. And they know the history. So I know I would not do it justice. But what I would do is invite you to our campus. All of you, collectively, in groups, individually, please come to our campus. Give us an opportunity to share with you some more about what Fisk has been, but quite frankly, more importantly, what Fisk will be. What we are going to be able to do for this community. Now, one of my favorite presidents of all time, in fact, I suggest that he would be the greatest president of all time, President Abraham Lincoln, once said something pretty fundamental and basic. He said, there are no accidents. For every effect must have its cause. The past is the cause of the present, and the present will be the cause of the future. And I believe that it's fundamental, right? I mean, it's nothing earth-shattering about that. But it does make a difference. Because the point is that things don't just happen. We make them happen. And I think this group, above all, understand that we make them happen. We are standing here today because of all of those who come before us. That's in this audience, and that's at Fisk University. We've been able to accomplish what we have accomplished because of those who came before us and paved the way, who did the hard work, who put their noses to the grindstone, who persevered, who manifested the grit that's required to make something out of nothing. I heard a young lady say just the other morning, it is what it is until you make it better. That's the kind of thing that we're talking about. And this is where it is today because of what transpired in the past. And I'm excited that I'm associated with an organization that was founded to serve free slaves. That it effectively came into existence even before the 13th Amendment was ratified. So they could start its work right away. And here, quite frankly, in the heart of Dixon, that speaks volumes not just for Fisk, but for this community. And it's not lost on us. We know that Fisk has been able to accomplish what it's been able to accomplish because it's been here in Nashville. Because of the support that is garnered over the years. And nobody's perfect. This city's not perfect. Fisk is not perfect. And so we've had our challenges along the way. But we are where we are today because we are in Nashville. Because of the support that we've been able to garner right here in Nashville. When I think about where we are today, and many of you know this, we have some challenges, yes. We have some challenges. But I would make sure that you understand that, first of all, our reputation for academic excellence, as manifested in the young man who just walked off this stage, is impeccable. And it's been consistent. From day one to now, despite some of the challenges and some of the financial issues that we've had to address recently. And even, quite frankly, you know, the SACS issue that we're working to resolve right now. We've been able to maintain the quality of our academic programs. And the issues that SACS has with us has nothing to do with our academic programs. Despite those financial issues that we've had to address, we've been able to maintain the quality students who do quality work and leave here and add in quantifiable quality ways to societies here in Nashville and Tennessee and across this nation. But we're working to address those SACS issues, and we will. And I'm sure most of you have heard about the tough things we've already begun to do over there to make sure that we develop the financial discipline that we need, that perhaps we haven't exhibited in the recent past. And that's not casting aspersions at anybody who's come before me or anybody who's done anything at Fisk or in this community before now. Because what we're focused on is where we are now and what we can do for this community and how we can move ourselves forward in very productive ways. And we're asking you to join us, to support us as we move forward to make this a better community. And again, I know I'm speaking to the right audience. I know I'm speaking to the right audience. And we have to do some more tough things at Fisk. I mean, right now, we have the financial challenges, we have the challenges with SACS for sure, but we also have some other issues. I mean, our enrollments right now are much lower than they should be. We're at 610 students this year. Owing to Mr. Anthony Jones's work, we're able to actually make a significant increase in that enrollment from the prior year to this current year. And we're on target to have another sizable jump in our enrollment next year. But we're moving inexorably toward 1,200 students, because that's where we need to be as comfortable as we should be in order to be as productive and as responsive to this community's needs as we must be. But we're going to get there. In the meanwhile, we're doing the tough things that are calibrated to get us there. We have so much deferred maintenance on that campus that has to be addressed. But once we get our financial house in order, that's going to put us in a position to do some more of that. But we are going to enhance our brand. We're going to protect that brand, because that's effectively what Fisk is: academic excellence. And that redounds to the benefit of Nashville and to Tennessee. There's no doubt in our minds. Moreover, we recognize that not only must we do some things differently, we have to do some different things. And one of the things that I really appreciate about my two colleagues who happen to be sitting here is that they are of that sort, if you will. They understand that we need to think differently, that we need to be willing and ready to do some different kinds of things, not just do them differently necessarily, but do some different kinds of things. And that's the kind of culture we're trying to develop. It's going to take us a while, but that's the kind of culture we're trying to develop. And with the commitment that our faculty and staff have to what they're doing, to Fisk and to higher education, we know we're going to be able to get there. And so, in the not-too-distant future, you're going to stop hearing about the financial issues at Fisk. You're going to continue to hear about the academic excellence that is Fisk. You're going to see a greater presence of Fisk in this community, in the immediate community where we reside, and in the broader community as well. Because after all, there are no accidents. Thank you.